So today's video is about catheterizations, cardiac catheterizations. I had one yesterday. I've had 3, I believe, in the past. But since I had one yesterday, I figured I would do this video just to let you know what it's like while it's in my brain. So what I did, how I did it is, you go to the hospital, you check in, you give them all the information and all of that, and then they call you back because it was outpatient. They call you back to the pre-op area. In that pre-op area, they put the IV in, they draw blood, they make you do a pregnancy test to make sure that if you're a female, that you're not, obviously if you're a female, that you're not pregnant. Then for the catheterization, because they were going through the groin. Sometimes they can go through the wrists or through the arms, but I've never had one done like that. So this one was through the groin. So they shave the groin area, and they get you ready for that, and then you wait around until they have to wheel you to the back. So I waited around, and then finally they came to get me. Well, my cardiologist came in first, and he asked me a bunch of questions, and then the nurse and their cath crew came to get me, and we went to the back through all these hallways. And it's weird when you're laying down because you're going through all these hallways and all you see is lights and the tops of people's heads, so it's a little scary at first, but I'm used to it. So you go, and then we went into this back room where this catheterization room. It was like white. It was like this white room, and there was like this table with these cameras around, and then a screen. And they get you from the stretcher, and you have to move onto the flat table. It's like an operating table. So they lay you flat, and then your hands. It's very cold. It was very cold when I went in there, and they put you on this table, and they adjust you, and they gave me my pillow, and then they have to like prep you. So they're doing all their prep while you're on the table there. So your arms are like laying next to you on the table. And I guess if you're, I was like just the size for the table, so your arms hang off. So they put these white plastic things in that cup your arms very nicely. So your arms are at your side, and they're not flinging off the table. They're there at the side, and they make your IV port available. I had one on both arms just in case, because some medicines they can't mix. So they have to give you an IV in both arms for catheterization. So then they're getting you ready. They put this thing between your legs in order to get to the groin, and then they cover you with a giant like operating sheet thing, it's like a paper sheet. So they cover you with that, and I didn't know what else they were doing because I can't really see, but they're getting all their utensils and utensils. That's not the word for it, but they're making a Jen salad. So they get all their tools and everything, and they're sanitizing and stuff, and then they wait for my cardiologist, and my cardiologist came in, and they're all wearing their masks and their hair up in the bonnets, and my doctor has glasses, so he was wearing something over his glasses. And they do this, I guess they give you a little bit of anesthesia to twilight you, I guess, so you're in and out. So there are times when they'll ask you questions and you need to answer. So they'll say, can you cough for me? And you cough. I was asleep for most of it, but then I wake up. So like when they ask you questions specifically, they'll be like, Jen, can you hold your breath? Take a deep breath in, hold it. Take a deep breath in, hold it. Those were a couple of the ones they made me wake up for. And then they also asked me if I could cough, really make a deep cough. I don't know exactly what they're doing, but what the catheterization is, they put this dye through the groin, like they insert it through the groin, and it's a dye, and there's also a camera, and they get, I guess they go up through your body to get to your heart so that they can get a better picture of your heart. So instead of going down the throat, they go up the groin with a different type of camera and on a thinner wire and everything. So, and they go through your, I guess, vein or artery. I'm not 100% sure. So that stuff you'll have to look up. because I don't know all the details for that. But I do know, like, when they're done with it, then they hold pressure. What they did was, when they were finished with the whole procedure, you could see, like, times you wake up and you see the lights above you, and then this thing moves around you that's taking, I guess, I don't know if it's an x-ray or what it is actually, but they move that around. So the environment is cold and sterile. There's points when they put the medicine in or the dye that you feel like your whole body is radiating. So it's a warmness throughout your entire body, from the inside. Almost feels like you're wetting yourself at first, and then your whole body feels like that. So that must be the dye that they use, so I'm thinking. I didn't feel really any pain, except toward the end, when because of the problem that I have, I felt like this tightness in my chest and in my my neck. And I told them that, and they gave me Lasix. I guess that lowers the pressure. I don't know. Anyway, when I was completely finished with the procedure, then they hold on to the groin, where they went in to apply pressure, because it's, you know, going to continue to bleed if they don't put pressure. So they have to hold that there for a while, for like over 10 minutes, and just hold tight and press. And that kind of hurts a little bit. So that's sore and raw. And then when they're finished, they have to get everything off and, like, you know, take all the surgical things off and the paper, and then what they'll do is they take, because you're not allowed to move your leg, so they take this board and they put this board underneath you, and they get you back onto your stretcher with that board, so that you don't have to move around, because you're supposed to keep that leg straight. And I had to keep it straight for 4 hours. So for 1 hour, I wasn't allowed to even sit up a little bit. But after that 1 hour, you're allowed to move your head up like 30 degrees. So it's hard for me to lay flat. I get short of breath very easily. So when they moved me to recovery, when they wheeled me to recovery, I was like, do I have to stay flat? They said yes. So what they did was, instead of putting my head up, they just angled the bed. So I'm still flat, but they angled the bed so I'm a little bit angled up, which was good for me, because laying flat like that, it's hard to breathe sometimes. But so here's the fun part. I had to take the Lasix, which means that I had to pee really bad. So you're supposed to be keeping this leg completely straight, and you're not allowed to move. So of course, when you have to go to the bathroom, you have to use the bedpan. So the beloved bedpan. So they helped assist me to roll me over. And the first time they put the bedpan on, though, I was able to move the other leg up a little bit, but I don't think she had it right, and I wet the bed. So then they had to change the sheets. This was the most embarrassing part for me, because I'm perfectly capable of using the bathroom, but you can't, because you have to keep your legs straight. So they have to help you, and they're used to it, and they're totally nice about it. I was really, like, embarrassed about it, and I was like, oh my God, you know, I wet the bed. I'm really sorry. I'm making you work. You know, I've just felt so bad about it. And they were just really cool. They were like, you know, no, don't. It's the Lasix. You can't help it. You know. So what they did was they ended up having to help assist roll me over to put new sheets, then roll me the other way, to put new sheets on, so that I'm clean. Then I had to use the bedpan 2 more times down there, and then I got the hang of it, and I didn't spill over or anything those 2 times, which was nice. And then I was admitted, because I had the catheterization later at night. Normally when you have a catheterization, you're allowed to go home, but because of my heart condition, and because it's pretty severe now, I had to stay overnight just for observation, and also because, you know, by the time I was able to move my leg, it would have been like 10 o'clock at night, and he was like, nah, we'll just keep you. So they moved me upstairs to an area with a bed. So what they did was they moved me into the bed. So they took me from the stretcher to the bed, but they had to do a 2-man lift and help assist me. So I did that, and I got over to the bed, and then they wheeled me upstairs, and I went to a room, and then the nurse helped me 2 or 3 more times use the bedpan. Those Lasix are no joke, man. When you take them, you really gotta go. So, so that was my experience with a cardiac catheterization. I don't think I missed anything else. That's how my experience went. Now, some people go and they're in and out, and some people don't even have to hold their legs straight for 4 hours, I've heard. But it all depends what your situation is. So I'm sure each case is different, but that's a general guideline. And also, not everybody's going to be admitted, so don't be like, oh my God, I'm going to have to get admitted to the hospital. No, it's just because I have a severe heart condition, that's why I was admitted. But other people who are totally healthy and they're just looking for clogged arteries and blockage, they had to go in. They were looking at my whole entire aorta and in the aortic valve and going to the aortic root. So, you know, it was a little bit different than just checking to see if my arteries were clogged. So that's it. I stayed in recovery for about an hour and then they moved me upstairs. But if I was going to go home that day, I would have had to stay down there for 4 hours. That's a catheterization. So the most painful parts are going to be when they hold your groin to get the bleeding to stop. Also, the dye, when you feel the dye and the medicine going in, it feels like burning and irradiation. And the table itself is a little uncomfortable because it's flat. So if you have a heart condition already and you're laying flat, it's a little hard to breathe. And I felt like it was somebody sitting on my chest during this test.